Do you think, and are you one of them, Adam, Mr. South Harmon, that people are going to regret taking Ashton Genty at the 101? Not because he's not going to be good, but shouldn't Cam Ward, the quarterback that goes first overall, be like, why is this not even being talked about as a first or even second pick in our rookie superflex drafts? It's boggling to me.
Yeah. It's kind of the place and time, right? Last year, this time last year, the running back position was about as uncool as I can remember. It's kind of like the short shorts, man. They were for a while not cool, right? But they're making it back. They're coming back.
Like booty huggers, like real, nut huggers. They call them nut huggers.
Exactly. And listen, Genty's got a great year where he's coming out. He's going to be drafted what seems to be top 10. Cam Ward, for all intents and purposes, is going to go number 1. You can't go earlier than that, at least as far as I'm concerned. But he will not be going earlier, it seems like, in rookie drafts.
Yeah, and not even number 2. Again, things are going to change after the actual draft. But you do any mock right now, and, the sharp mockers, I'm talking about like Dynasty World mockers, not like the Mel Kiper types that are doing real NFL. They have Amarian Hampton penciled in as the number 2 in Superflex. This thing, it just goes against any conventional wisdom, like how I've been successful in Dynasty leagues. And I'm open to other ways to do it, Adam. But
yeah,
I mean, where are you at? Like 101 quarterback should be a top 2 pick, no?
Yeah, I mean, actually, Mike, shout out to the guy that I do content with. He just had a real draft that went down before the NFL draft. Cam Ward sure did. He went number 3. And listen, it's kind of like if you're in that place of success, everybody, where do they want to go to the Hamptons, man? Amarian Hampton is going to get drafted. Again, it looks like he really rose his stock at the combine, right? We thought highly of him in the Dynasty community, but I just don't think people quite realize that, A plus B equals C type of thing, where now, okay, so he's going to be a top 15, 20 pick possibly. People are really paying attention now.
All right. Well, what if Ashton Genty goes 9th to New Orleans? Let's say, Las Vegas realizes, because that's where Genty is being popular. He's mocked there a lot. They pass because they realize they have to take a non-running back. The Jets take a lineman, Carolina, whoever, defense sounds like they're going to go. And now New Orleans, you got like the Ingram Kamara thing going all over again, but Kamara's 28, right? He strikes me as the type of player that's going to be in the league for another couple of years. He's not just going away. So do you think Genty's, do you think Genty's the 101 in Superflex leagues if he goes to New Orleans?
Yes, and I'll tell you for the same kind of reverse psychology logic, right? So I just was doing a trade show a couple of days ago. Puzzled at the one I was looking at, which was Jalen Wright, who, for all intents and purposes, actually had a chance to do something, didn't do anything with it rookie season, in the 402 for Alvin Kamara. Alan, people are so ready to get rid of Kamara. They've been trying to do this for 3-4 years now to get rid of this kid, right? Like, it would be seen as passing to the torch. It's over for Kamara. That's the way people would view it. I do think when we get closer to the redraft season, though, people might be like, oh, man, this might be a problem. Maybe Genty doesn't get, 100% of snaps like they think he's going to right now.
Right. But, I mean, we've seen Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram, when they were on the Saints, both have top 12, like in the same season rankings.
Sure.
So it is. I mean, that was Sean Payton.
Maybe we get Drew Brees. Speaking of bringing things back, right? We get him in the mix. The one thing, the Saints offense is just not anywhere near those days. But it was Kamara. It can still be highly efficient, actually, if given that type of a workload. But Genty right now seems to be not even a question at 101.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm in my rookie draft, right, and somehow I end up with the 101, I'm not saying I'm the worst team. I mean, I'm just saying like. Some reason I have the 101, and I have a few good running backs. Let's say I have like Gibbs, Bucky Irving, Tyrone Tracy, and Ken Walker, right? But but just solid, but not like elite. One elite guy in Gibbs, and then my quarterbacks are Baker Mayfield and Geno Smith. Do you think that would even sway? Now, you can't use the words trade and back, okay? You can't use those words. I'm forced to make the pick here.
Wow, you're really putting me in a corner here. No trade, no back? I mean, all right. I will say, here's the thing, right? The way I view this is, the truth, like, look at Jaden Daniels, right? Jaden Daniels coming out this last 24 draft. He was actually anywhere from the 103 to 104 typically in mocks and real drafts because you had Marv and you had Caleb. But the reason Jaden Daniels ascended to where he did, right, if you really pay attention to the game and you're playing the game of fantasy football, it's a lot about rushing the football. And so the real question comes down to, and there's, I mean, differing views on Cam Ward. Does he actually have the tools and ability? I actually do think he does. Now, if you go look at what the box score counters are going to do, there's not much production from the rushing side of things. So you have a questionable quarterback class. You have a guy that's supposed to have a lot of talent, but will it actually translate to fantasy success? I think is where gamers are at. To the question, if I'm not able to trade and I'm not able to go back, I'm going to go forward. Give me Cam.
Yeah. All right. I mean, if Cam Ward, like right off the bat here, I mean, let me just see, like he in the overall like consensus rankings in the quarterback. Let's see, where do you think he is? Maybe you know this. What's the
Dynasty Superflex?
Yeah, without even playing a snap yet, where do you think he is? QB what? I'm like keep trade cut, for example.
Okay, keep trade cut. Let's go. What is? I'll do the Jeopardy deal. What is quarterback 17?
Yeah, you're dialed in then. He's 19, but he's right below. He's right above him at 17, 16. Actually, wait, he's 18. They have him at 18. They had the numbers are mixed up here. It's funny. Keep trade cut here. Heads up.
Being a nut hugger right there.
Yeah, he's right grouped in with Trevor Lawrence, Penix, Baker Mayfield, which makes sense, right? Sight unseen.
I mean, yeah, I think just from the standpoint of that's where he naturally is going to fall into, given he's mocked at 101. I do think the drumbeat will get a little bit louder as he's actually drafted there, and people start to, think better about the situation that right now just doesn't sound that great in Tennessee, honestly.
What do you think is the biggest mistake that people make in their rookie drafts? Because, the NFL draft is coming up, Adam, right? So we're going to find out all our landing spots. And then literally Sunday night, sometimes Monday morning, the rookie drafts are going to kick off. And people are going to be excited. There's no ADP yet, right? No one's going to really know where to draft these guys. But time after time, just from a tactics point of view, what do you think is a mistake that you want to warn people about when they're having their rookie drafts?
How much time you got?
I got all the time in the world.
No, I mean, the question phrased as the biggest is always, like the 101 problem. I'm like, man, I got so many of these things.
Most common. How about that? I'll rephrase this. The most common.
Let me give you this, though. One of the things I think about, right, is when we're talking about right now, especially, is a good example. It's April 3rd, right? We just are out of April Fool's, so I'm telling you the truth, all right? When you look at your team right now, most people are going to draft, and they're looking at their roster already. They're basically saying before, we don't even have, the kids don't even have landing spots, draft capital, anything. We're already trying to force this draft pick into a player and into our lineup and visualize it as a starter. You're like, you see all the steps we missed in the process here? You don't have to your point with the quarterback position, right? You don't have to draft, I think, for what your team is right now, given that you're going to have, after the draft, you know what happens? People get all excited, and then there's this big, oh, man, all we got to watch is baseball in the summer. We get this like, there's nothing left. And at that point, sometimes having the most valuable piece actually gives you the best opportunity to make what is your current starting roster better than drafting for it in May or in June. And I think as an overarching theme, that's a little more easily to digest conceptually than talking about something a little more detailed, I guess.
Yeah. I think, the trading up has just become so inefficient, right? That would be like something that I see that people make a mistake. Now I've done it, right? Like I've done the thing where like, man, I love Keon Coleman. I need to trade up right here to get him, right?
You too? Oh, gosh.
Yeah, man. And I'm just giving you an example. The bad example. The good example is if you traded up for Ladd McConkey, right? Like, so it can work out, but so often, the trading up to get your guy, man, I just have no faith. I mean, I listen to all the fantasy content or the guys that, this guy is my sleeper. I've told this story before, but here's a quick version of it. I had Thor Nystrom on this podcast last year, and I love Thor, but I'm never having him on again. I'm only kidding, but I'm having because he got me so hyped about Luke McCaffrey, right? And by the way,
he can really make that high trend go crazy. Yeah,
what a great salesperson he was. And by the way, it's like I got out of that podcast just thinking, Luke McCaffrey no matter what, right? So we're at the 404 in my rookie draft.
Speaking of no trading, they're back.
I'm trading up to get – I'm giving next year's third and a fourth this year to get Luke McCaffrey, and then it doesn't work, right? I mean, now if that would have been a Puka Nacua conversation from the year before, I would have, given this guy the rights to my podcast. So I just say trading up is a dangerous thing. Just let the draft fall to you and trade back. But, I mean, sometimes it's just something we have. It's like going shopping hungry, right?
It is. I was going to say, and beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right? Because there have been people that have probably most recently traded up and gotten burned, right? And then you think about somebody that maybe they weren't a Keon guy, right? But they traded up one spot. Process is wrong. Typically, I would view it as a wrong process. If you traded up from 202 last year to 111, 110, you got Brian Thomas Jr., Ladd McConkey, or even Xavier Worthy versus a Keon. Like that person right now, the beauty for them, are you kidding me? That was such a cheap trade up. I mean, are you kidding? How would I not do that again? Right. The reality is though that you're kind of basing it off of small sample size and flawed logic. It's the odds of that being the continued thing aren't necessarily the case if the cost is too it's cost prohibitive, right? And typically the trade up, you know what, Alan, believe it or not, people typically want their success right now. They want to have the cake and eat it too. Nobody loves trading back unless there's something in it for them, right? So typically, to your point, it gets a little cost prohibitive to trade up when everybody wants to be drafting earlier.
Yeah. No, I mean, last year, and some guy had I used Keon Coleman again. Like I was in the draft at the 202, 203, wherever Keon was going. Yep. And he wanted him so badly. I'm trying to. Oh yeah. So he gave me Stephon Diggs in a second for him. I was like, all right, I mean, and then I was pissed when Diggs got hurt, but now it looks like he's in a better spot for this year. So
yeah.
If somebody comes knocking on your door, I mean, if I'm in any drafts with you and you want to give me I love redraft veterans. I mean, that's my weakness. I've always taken Mike Evans and go ahead.
No, I mean, that's perfect. So you're telling me if we're in a draft together, the guy that has, is basically unseen at this point during the draft, you see him. I like knowing that though, I'll send him to you.
Yeah. Well, you guys made fun of me in a draft for taking Baker Mayfield last year in the 5th round. And I got lucky, I guess, because I didn't think he'd be that good.
You did. But listen, the one Baker Mayfield in particular, I'm going to be on the wrong side of this thing. I'm going to be saying he's not going to be good. Then he's going to turn out to be pretty decent for the Browns. And then he's going to, it's an up and down experience. Baker Mayfield and me, don't trust my judgment. Okay. I messed up.
You don't think he's good, Baker? I mean, I don't want to get too into the veterans and Baker, but you don't like him as a fantasy asset?
I think he's a fine fantasy asset. I think he's actually showed very much that he could be successful. I think the problem for him right now, realistically, as far as a dynasty asset, is that Baker Mayfield, if you think about this, what he did last season, there is, given how well he played early when all things were right, and then when things went awry, he still played well. Cade Otton, for those of you who forget, this guy was not a thing and became a big thing. Yeah. Baker Mayfield exceeded expectations to such a high degree. There's nowhere for him to exceed past there. So he's a asset where I think he's a unsexy, believe it or not, as much as that's crazy to say, quarterback in Superflex where you can take him and have secure value. The problem is he doesn't have any value retention, believe it or not. If Baker was to have a poor season, people are going to be ready to see this guy get out of the rankings again.
Yeah, I mean, and I can verify everything you're saying because I have one team that has no receivers. I'm trying to get receivers, and I have 3 great quarterbacks for fantasy. I have Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, and Baker Mayfield. So naturally, I'm trying to sell Baker Mayfield and get but nobody wants him. I'm not getting any. I'm getting offers of DK Metcalf for him. I'm not doing that.
Can I tell you? Listen, you're hitting the nail on the head here. I want to kind of give you some context. Think about this. People that they do this for a living and they're well off. The Browns, right? This is a team that literally has not had a quarterback. They've been trying to solve this position, this puzzle, for what seems like for forever. Actually, since their return in '99.
Who was the last good Browns quarterback? Was it
Baker Mayfield?
Oh, right.
They had it. They had it. They had the quarterback. They're the same. They're an Alan Seslowsky. Nobody wants this guy. We got to get rid of him. Right. We're not paying him. No. You know what we're going to do? We're going to send 3 future first and pay a fully guaranteed contract to the other guy, forget the fact that it works out or not. Like that's just how much actually people involved in the real sport don't want Baker Mayfield, let alone the fantasy gamers, you know?
Yeah.
To your point, I think maybe just hold on to him, you know?
Yeah, but so then what do you then that means I'm not trading away Josh Allen.
Can I give you not the biggest mistake, but one that I just talked about as a little edge? See, when I have a position of leverage, what I don't want to do, right? It's very easy to say, okay, I'm looking at this is what my goal is with my team, and I want to get there right now. However, you have leverage right now. The problem with leverage is that typically means you have excess, and when you have excess, that's like, all right, well, I need to rearrange this excess. Yeah, but you know what you don't have right now? Nobody feels the pain of not having a good quarterback room yet. No one's scoring points. Wait until you have those three quarterbacks. A few weeks in, we get the buys, a couple injuries. You've got Baker Mayfield as an extra piece. Oh man,
yeah,
Alan, what can I do for that? What do you?
I know that is the right mindset. Like I give you full credit, right? Like it's like wait, just hold Mayfield. Like James Conner is the running back example of only worth something when he's scoring points, right? But then the problem is the other teams. The only teams that are in bad quarterback spots are the two teams that have no chance to win, and they have, so they're not really gonna give me those, Jalen Waddle and Chris Godwin plus a second for Baker Mayfield because I need receivers. I'm dead there.
Oh my gosh, Alan, listen, can you keep throwing me the lobs? I mean, I will go get this thing. Here's the thing, right? Right now, go back and look. Do yourself the exercise if you don't believe me. Don't take my word for it. I wouldn't either, frankly. Go look at some of your leagues and think about this time last year. Everybody has the league figured out. Like they can almost project and see the standings right now. Oh yeah, he's a contender. He's going to be. Do you know how many times by week 5? Last year was the most extreme example I can think of. By week 5, there was like 70 people, fantasy relevant players that were on IR or hurt. Our ideas right now in April, we don't even know who the heck's drafting what. We don't even know what the teams look like in the NFL, let alone what's going to change in the early part of the season. Sometimes in leagues like that, where right now there's just no trade to be had there, right? He doesn't view himself as a contender. He's not going to come get Baker. All of a sudden, the stars align, and you, my friend, have an opportunity that you don't even realize what you missed. You don't even realize what you had as a chance to be gone because you already got rid of it for what your best price was today.
So I'm right. So because I'm desperate for receivers, like literally my receivers in this league, Adam. And again, when I say my league, nobody cares about my league, but I'm sure other people are in this situation. I have like Cooper Kupp, Cedric Tillman, and so because I had Tank Dell, I had Brandon Ayuk, I had Christian Watson. All these guys are dead for next year already.
I was going to say bring out the caskets. Oh my god.
Yeah, they're dead. But I'm telling you, loaded everywhere else. But the point is, you're saying if I sell someone like Mayfield for DK Metcalf and Jalen Coker now,
then I would have to change my answer to the biggest mistake in Dynasty would be that. There it is, right?
Right. Whereas the guy who's in first place, who's loaded at receiver, who loses Jared Goff in week 6, now I'm getting, Chris Olave, who's having a bounce back season. I'm getting Mike Evans plus a second for next year.
And that's a great point too. You also can't really utilize your leverage when you're looking at a situation which everybody right now, for the most part, unless their team's in complete shambles, they view their team as complete, right? So I don't need a quarterback. Why would I got my receivers are good, but all of a sudden they have an issue somewhere. Now their receivers come into play, which were off the table before.
Yeah. Where are you at on Shedeur Sanders? If he goes second to the Browns, right? Because that's what it seems like, and I probably should be.
Yeah.
In Superflex rookie drafts, is that a mistake to take Sanders? I've heard all the negatives about him that obviously doesn't run. I think one year he had minus 50 yards rushing when you bring in sacks and kneel downs.
Yeah, for those who know college stats, they count the sacks. So 50 yards. He's not a scrambler. He's not at all.
Right. So let's say Browns take him. Is a mistake?
That's the toughest thing. I'm basically of the mindset that he's going too late. But if he goes to the Browns, there's if there was threading the needle for a bad thing to happen, it's just the Browns quarterbacks. No, but I'm all seriousness. Shedeur, I was in a mock draft recently, 2 days ago. Mike just did a real draft yesterday.
Mike, your broadcasting
Mike
partner
Crystal.
on South Harmon.
Yeah, shout out to the Tear Down King. If you know, you know. But he was in this guy right now. the way people are viewing him, knowing that most drafts, most mocks are having him as a top 10 pick, top 5 even. He's going in like the second round in Superflex. This is that's like almost one of the critical no-nos. You just don't pass on first round quarterbacks in Superflex.
Well, we did it as a dynasty consensus last year. Bo Nix and Michael Penix. I know some people took him at 109, but those guys were 202 and 204 last year. We did it last year.
Alan, I did the amount of time I spent doing a Michael Penix deep dive and I'm screaming into the abyss for no one to care because they don't think he's going to start for 3 more seasons.
Right.
Here's the thing. That is one of the most it's history has a tendency of repeating itself. We're human. We just keep making the same mistakes over and over.
Daniel Jones, when he was a rookie, went in the second round of rookie Superflex drafts.
Daniel Jones is a good example actually because he's going to have some success at some point, likely if he's a top 5 pick. So, again, thinking about the patience thing, right now you're drafting him in the late part of the first round, second round. He's kind of a steal in my mind just because the downside of him at that point is with all the buzz around his name, right? Deion Sanders kid, he's just going to have a longer leash in fantasy value and dynasty value, I think, just because of that alone. I don't understand it from the standpoint of this. Last year, you could make the case and argument of, but Alan, listen, if I could give you the crystal ball, you know how good this class is? Fine. This is the exception to the rule. I'll wait on quarterback. Most people don't like this class as a whole. We're still passing on the quarterbacks for these skill players that, tell you the truth, most people don't think all that highly of, honestly.
Right, like Emeka Ibuka is going ahead of Sanders. And
he's the one example that the greatest. No, I'm just kidding. I love Ibuka, but he's an Ohio State receiver. No, you're right.
But as I'm saying, like that's fantasy football wise. I mean, Ibuka, his best chance is to go in the first round in the late, like pick 25 or something like that, right? Like he's not going pick 12.
I mean, I don't envision him going that high. I think he could probably go around 20-ish range, right? I mean, JSN went in the 20s. That's, I think, is probably, a good case scenario for him.
And you're making, right, the correlation because of both Ohio State. But that's my point. Like, if right now, if Shedeur Sanders, if you're sitting at the 109, that means you got eliminated in the first round of your playoffs, which probably means like just you might be like a quarterback short. And Sanders is a steal at the 109. You said he was going.
Did you say he's a short quarterback? I'm just
six. Oh, okay.
You said he's a quarterback short.
Oh, right. I got you. Very good. Very good. So Sanders, you think he's a steal where he's going 109. This is like Michael Penix from last year, basically, as long as he's a top 5 pick in the NFL.
I would agree. Yeah, I think that's correct. I think here's the way it's kind of, I don't mean to belabor this point, but again, I think about it from the standpoint of the way people kind of view the position in Dynasty. Last year, we had this actually historic, at least from the standpoint of 6 quarterbacks drafted in the first 12 picks, Mr. Seslowsky. I mean, we rewrote the record books from, if you don't know, the greatest class in quarterback history, and those guys actually played really well. The problem is now, right, if you think about it from a landscape perspective, like a wide view lens, all these young influx of quarterbacks, you go to Keep Trade Cut, Alan, you can tell me while I'm talking here, they're littered within early parts of Dynasty rankings now. You're talking Jaden Daniels is in the conversation of the elite top 3 tier. You have
he's the 101 on Keep Trade Cut overall.
Right. I mean, Keep Trade Cut probably has him there, and I'm saying some people that don't even like to draft the young players will put him in the mix, right? So you got Jaden Daniels there. You got, keep going, Drake May. All 6 of these quarterbacks are within. JJ McCarthy got hurt, didn't play. Sam Darnold had a great season for the Vikings, and people are not worried at all with JJ McCarthy, right? The point I'm making here is the quarterback landscape is now, at least from the standpoint of the view, it's flush. Like there's not a lot of worry about how am I going to solve this position from a dynasty landscape. Plus the quarterback class isn't viewed that highly. So people are kind of forgetting about the fact that JJ McCarthy, if you drafted JJ McCarthy, you feel like you probably screwed up because he got hurt and he didn't play. His value went up because he's a quarterback that's going to be starting again. Like there's, in Superflex especially, there's just so much secure value in the fact that you have a starting quarterback, especially if you can attach that he's young and has draft capital.
Yep. All right. That makes sense. Our podcast today, RotoWire Dynasty Podcast, it's sponsored by Ultra GM. This is Adam. This is like the ultimate GM experience. You have to go over there to check it out at it's ultragm.com. But you could sign up for free leagues against your family to try it out. There's no fantasy football platform or GM simulator that's ever provided the degree of realism and engagement that this one offers. We thank them. They're a platform that I've just messed around with in preparation for the podcast. Highly recommend Ultra GM. I'm Alan Seslowsky. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I got it up on my other screen right here.
Looks good.
Yeah.
Check it out. There's I'll put some links in our video description as well. Get you a code. Let me see. They probably gave me a code here. Let me see. Let me give it out. Let me do this the right way, since they are.
We'll do this live. It's riveting stuff.
Yeah, the live right here. Episode. See, I don't like just to read the whole thing. Okay, I'm gonna put a link in the video description here because there is a hyperlink. So we get credit that you went over there. I'm
going to wait to click that. I'm going to just close this one out real quick.
I'm Alan Seslowsky here with Adam from South Harmon Fantasy Football. Before we continue on with our ways that the people ruin their dynasty drafts, I heard your podcast the other day with Eric Vanek, who's coming on here too, America's Game. That was a good one right there. I want people to pay attention. Go over to the South Harmon YouTube page, podcast feed. But what's the most important thing you're working on, South Harmon? Yeah, I know you do some work for Nick over at BDGE. What's one or two things you want to tell people that pay attention to that you're working on?
Yeah, I think there's a lot, but I'll tell you.
Get two things. Get two plugs.
I'll give you two plugs. All right, I can give you that one. One, America's Game on the South Harmon Network that I was recently a guest on.
Yeah,
honestly, it's such a fun experience to actually just be the guest in that chair, right? You get to play at the end of it too. Great podcast, all very good, actionable information. But then you get to play America's Game at the end, which is a fun little trivia thing where he has different questions for you. Really good, actionable fantasy podcast to check out.
Yep.
And I will say the other thing we're working on and we're doing at the time, if you still are wondering a little bit about the draft class, right? This
rookie guide.
We got a rookie guide out there.
Yes. Yeah, I love it. I have it. I love it.
Okay. Well, here, if you give a plug, I'll give a plug. Draft Guide 25. We try to make it pretty easy, right? It even rhymes it for some reason. DraftGuide25.com. You go over there, check that out. And I'll tell you what. Speaking of promo codes, since I know the guy, I'll figure out how to make this work. ATM40 Chess, that's my X handle. Mm-hmm. You put that in as your promo code, and you'll get a little RotoWire discount on this.
I love it. That's great. Yeah, no, you guys have a good rookie guide. You guys did a good job. We have a ton of rookie content on RotoWire.com. I think a project that I'm going to put forth, we're doing some meetings in a couple of weeks, is I think that's a good standalone product that, even if you sell it for a couple bucks, it's or, you figure out a way you do a free version and then a pay version. I think that's a good idea. Rookie guides. A couple years ago, it was draft kits. That was like the thing that sites were selling, which they still do.
Yeah.
But the next iteration, if you don't want like tools, I think a rookie guide is a really good piece. A lot of people do it, but not a lot of people do it well. You guys did it really well. I have to give you credit on that.
Well, appreciate that. If I try to do, if I'm going to do it, I try to do it well. It feels good at the time. You look back in history and we'll see. But I think the draft guide worked out pretty well. And if you're, some of the names at the top, but you're not sure when you get to your later part of your rookie drafts, is a perfect opportunity to get some, top of mind information.
Yeah. And if you like Adam on this podcast, he does some great work on the BDGE YouTube channel. That's the Dynasty channel. I have that bookmarked. I check out every time you have a new video there. And of course,
I will say, go check that out. Every week there's at least, I do one of my solo videos. Nick does one or two solo videos. We're getting ready to cook up over there pretty good.
Yeah, no, it's good stuff. I admire what you guys do over there. Mistakes that people make in their rookie drafts. How about drafting tight ends a little too early? The name, I'll throw the OJ Howard out there. There's, if you drafted Sam Laporta, hit, but he was a second, late first, early second round pick. How about Tyler Warren, Colston Loveland? These are the two rookie tight ends. Are people? You're not going to just tell me landing spot because they are who they are. Like, is it a mistake to draft these guys early?
Alan, you find exactly where the point of tension is, and what a great question. We were literally talking to one of our biggest listeners, one of my guys, Tyler Pello. He's across the border. He's Canadian, so we kind of mess with him a little bit more, right? He took in this draft that Mike was in, right?
Do you put a tariff on his rookie guide?
I don't currently because the tariffs are going crazy. I try to be, calm about this, but He puts it on himself because at the 106, he does the critical mistake of he took Tyler Warren at the 106. And I'm in this league actually at this point, kind of I can become a neutral party because I'm not in the league. I didn't actually draft. At 106, right? So just think about it from the standpoint of remove Tyler Warren for the sake of argument right now, right? That's what we're going to get to. The point is, though, the tight end position. At the 106, which is where Tyler Warren's going, the only tight ends that have gone that highly in recent memory are Kyle Pitts and Brock Bowers. Now, there have been moments where Kyle Pitts was valued as the tight end one and outrageously high. Brock Bowers, I mean, you don't need me to tell you about him. He's had a historic rookie season. He's as highly valued as tight ends get right now.
I just want to stop and just, talk about like opposite ends of outcomes. I mean, that is just,
I'm getting you all excited, right? Don't just stick with me on this. Give me patience again. Patience is going to come back to really feel not the greatest. The problem is, okay, yes, you can point to Brock Bowers, and one of the Brock Bowers syndrome, Alan, is going to become a thing. People just don't know it yet, right? If you have a player at any position that goes out in his historic level of his greatness, you're going to be trying to find the next Brock Bowers. And I got bad news for people. There's a very good chance. I don't have any problem with any of the players or personal issues. There's a very good chance that we don't ever see another Brock Bowers. The point is, if at 106, right? Kyle Pitts, while he was viewed as a value, the value is actually not a win there. Unless you hit the tight end position to Brock Bowers' level, that's the upside people are seeing now. The downside is this. Dalton Kincaid was a guy that was a first-round draft pick as well. And people, they assured me. I mean, I actually had, it was written in stone. They told me there's no chance that he doesn't deliver huge fantasy success last year. They had no receivers of consequence. He's their guy. The tight end position, the problem is if you don't produce at that position, people are going to abandon ship pretty quick. And
they have it on Kyle Pitts. They stick with that guy even it's like 4 or 5 years later, and he's been terrible.
Yeah, well, here, do me a favor. This is going to seem crazy. You go right back to that little Keep Trade Cut page you had open.
Yeah.
He is historically low at the moment. And there's still some truthers out there. The only thing that
Pitt is tight end 10 right now and Keep Trade Cut.
10? Alan, do you know how that is almost unspeakable? I can't believe you said that on air. It's there's a lot of if you take a tight end at 106, Alan, right? The rewards which you can gain from that point, but you're basically drafting him value-wise as if he's already hit. Just think about that for a second. Let that sink in. Where you have to go up is kind of, you're already there. You're already at the penthouse, man. You're close. The problem is if this elevator ride that you think's awesome at the top has a long way to go down. It does. It really, really does.
Yeah. So a biggest mistake that people make are going to be taking Tyler Warren and
first round tight ends in Superflex typically is a mistake. And here's the biggest thing from the standpoint of. I didn't even, Alan, you gave me all those chances to do a plug, and I'm going to be honest, I'm a little shameless. I'm going to take one extra.
Wait, no, you can.
The warp tool is, it changes the way in which.
Yeah, I want to explain this, right? Because this is a good one. I don't mind you plugging this. So wins over replacement player tool, right? So everyone knows that's what warp stands for. You guys actually made it into like a clickable, usable thing where you could tell what a player's worth just on a visual bar graph. So that's your warp tool over at South Harmon. What's the exact site? It's South Harmon Fantasy.
So southharmonff.com. If that's a little too long for you, this one.
No, that's good. That's
warp.life. Warp will change your life. WORP.life. Boom. Done.
Yeah, no, that's a good, that's not a plug. That's actual real useful, people can go over there right now and use it. It's awesome.
It is. And honestly, Alan, I don't put stuff on. I'm not going to promote something that I don't believe in or I don't use myself. This has changed the way that I view the game. And just understand when I'm speaking from a standpoint right now of I'm scorned. I've been burnt. I've been the one that's made the early tight end pick in the large majority of leagues. I'm telling you, Alan, from a percentage standpoint, over 90% of leagues, the tight end premium, even if you play in one, you see that there's a premium, right? That drives cost up. The premium is so low in those leagues that it doesn't actually matter from a standpoint of wins for your team, wins over replacement player. So
what's the premium that matters then?
So if we're not at 1.75 is
per catch.
Yes. So if you're looking at a PPR league, right, and the tight end of consequence gets 1.75 versus the full PPR, that's where I have to be to start even paying attention. Like, that's the required floor. Most people don't play in a 2 tight end premium or higher. If you do play there, you can have your exception to the rule. Okay. Outside of that scenario, again, when I talk about the ceiling, that's what I'm talking about. There's not enough to be had from the standpoint of wins on your team, production, or dynasty value to warrant those type of luxury picks.
So what you're saying is the 1.5 tight end premium, which is becoming and already is very popular, you might as well treat that as a single PPR according to Warp.
And that's pretty well said, concise, efficient, right to the point where, see, so if something says, Alan, if I told you there's a premium on something, wow, like, that's kind of what it is. But there is a premium, but like 1.5 kind of gets the position to be a little bit better than just regular PPR, but it doesn't actually do much as far as the position as a whole scores. It doesn't change much.
Well, let me get off Dynasty for a second. I play a lot of underdog best ball, so they use half PPR for tight ends. I mean, so just quick strategy there. Should I just not even draft any tight ends until 3 of them at the end? Chig, Jonnu Smith, and maybe one other, scrub guy. Does it even matter?
I this time I do want some scrubs at the tight end position. I really do. I want some scrubs. Especially in best ball, which is if you play in a regular fantasy league, you're not sure what underdog is. Underdog does best ball format. What's really cool is you draft a team and then you're done. There's no management required. It's draft and it's the easiest and fun part, and that's it. The thing about best ball is, though, every single week your lineup the decisions are made for you. And the tight end position in best ball, which I play primarily Dynasty best ball, and it's a lot of fun, but there is some differences in lineup versus best ball, where you're setting your lineup versus having a best ball roster. Best ball really, really nukes the tight end position as far as the way I can roster construct, because if you gave me 3, 4, 5 tight ends that you think are not very good, but I know are going to play the majority, they're the primary for their team, you give me those 3, 4, 5 people, I'm telling you, Alan, I have a better chance every single week that one of those guys is going to finish closer to Brock Bowers than they are to tight end 10
on any given week, right? Like, give me 4 guys that are getting 70% snaps, and I'm going to like my chances versus the elite guy that week. Okay, I like that.
Let me give you, and I know it probably sounds crazy, and believe me, last night I had people fighting me on the same topic. There's a name here, and it's going to feel weird to you because it's strange. Brenton Strange. Stranger things happen. He was a guy that nobody thought of, probably cared about, and all of a sudden he gave you high-end production at points last year. Again, it's
a good one.
By committee at the tight end position, if you will.
Yeah, and now he's projected to be the starter in Jacksonville. That's a really good call right there. Even if they draft someone in the second round, they're not going to take a tight end at pick 5, So unless, maybe they take Tyler Warren at pick 5. No way. No way.
Don't do it, please. Yep. Duval.
If you're sitting at pick 2 or 3 in your rookie draft, what's the furthest you'd be comfortable moving back? Now, of course, it's going to depend on draft compensation, but like, you're sitting at 102, where are you not comfortable moving back to get a player that you could use right away?
Good question. I like this one. And recently I was thinking about this in a mock, and also I've made some offers in some of my leagues. Like, okay, I have some excess value. I'm loaded. I'm in a position to try to trade up. What would I need to send? And I recently made an offer from the 106 to a 102. It's sitting in his inbox, and I also gave him the 206. I'm kind of testing the waters.
106, 206 to get up to 102.
Yeah, that was my initial offer, and it's got him at least intrigued. Now, here's what I would say to your question, which was framed: where would I be comfortable going back? Honestly, the thing about it, with the way I'm viewing it, right, especially because the quarterback class isn't viewed very well by the community, there's a pretty decent tier gap starting around 104, let's call it, because 103, depending on how you feel about Cam Ward, might be still tier 1. 104 to about 109, 110 in this class, roughly.
Who's projected to be 4th, in your opinion?
Well, we got hot buttons everywhere. Travis Hunter, I think, is not being discussed right now highly, and there's a lot of reasons and concern. Is he going to be a full-time offensive player? But he's one of the few guys in this class that has absolutely elite talent. shout out to something I'm not a part of. That's not my thing that I'm not plugging, but Matt Harmon over Reception Perception just did his grade for, and he does this for receivers. It's what I would consider the gold standard. And he last year had an unreal receiver class. Travis Hunter did better as a receiver on his reception perception than all those guys last year. He has elite upside and is going to have high draft capital. Aside from him, which I'm going to push for the 103, not quite there, 105, 104, 105. Everybody else there's fine players, right? There's running backs that I like, Travion Henderson, there's Caleb Johnson, but there's also Quinshon Judkins. Whichever one of them you have at your running back 3, the difference between running back 5, 6 in this class, that's why I view that as a pretty wide tier. So actually this year, if you were hesitant, I'd be willing to go all the way to 109 because I'm going to get the compensation to probably move back there, but I probably wouldn't move much past that.
Okay, so that answers my question, and let's take a look at that. I'm pulling up rookie just like ADP right now. This is who the Keep Trade Cut rookie ADP has. So we're not even talking about Genty because we agree 101 there. So if you're sitting at the 102 and that's the Hampton spot, Cam Ward 3, so Tet 4, Tyler Warren in a super premium 5, Travion 6, Quinshon Judkins 7, Abuka 8, Shador 9, 10 Travis Hunter. I'm with you. I think I would take him 4th overall, but fine, So 11 Loveland and 12 Luther Burden. So I think I'm good going all the way back to 10. If you like Abuka.
I like that. And one of the things to think about too, right? I think from the standpoint of if you were at the 102 and right now the consensus is that's going to be Amari Hampton. Think about it from the standpoint, again, I'm going to kind of, I'm trying to double count a little bit. Like most people are viewing it, right? What I was saying as a mistake, but if you view it now as Omari Hampton slides into your roster and your lineup, great. But your draft capital was the 102. If you can move back, let's say to the 109, and you still kind of like and think highly of a Quinshon Judkins, a Travion Henderson, a Caleb Johnson, this is a conceptual way to think about this. It's a great tear down, and you're fine in your roster. That sometimes is a little more of a peace of mind and way to think about it than 102 to 109 sounds crazy. I don't know if I like that. But if you're getting a running back replacement that has pretty decent draft capital as well, plus this is your reward for doing such, it's a pretty good bet I like to make.
Yeah, and I don't even think it needs to be picks. I think I would move to the 110 if I got a veteran that I liked, like an old veteran. I always use Mike Evans because he's still producing at like age 32, but Devontae Adams, there's so many of these guys. If you want to get like Devontae seems like the right gap between the 102 and however far you want to move back. Now it might be 108 like you originally said, but it all depends again on how you feel about Hunter and Abuka and all that stuff.
For sure.
Matthew Golden, in Keep Trade Cut, he's going pick 14, but it seems like he's going to end up going like top 15 in the real NFL draft, right?
Draft
like
capital's probably going to be pretty locked in. He's a first round pick for sure, it seems.
Oh, yeah, top half of the first round.
Right.
The speed thing seems to attract teams. You remember Henry Ruggs? No one had him going ahead of, what was it, Judy and Lamb, right? That he went ahead of?
Sure did.
And the only thing he had was the crazy 40 time.
4.2. Yeah, he was ridiculously fast. Golden, here's the thing about him. Polarizing, meaning the views are very widespread on range of outcomes and how they view the player. He's exciting. He's appealing, to your point. Shout out to, Pat Summerall. Speed kills. And the thing about him is I could see a scenario where he's going to be really exciting, enticing. And if he has, the thing about that speed, right? You got to think about it from the standpoint of the way that people view and think about the game of Dynasty. He could be terrible for 5 weeks, literally awful. Think of Xavier Worthy as if he didn't actually have the week 1 huge game.
And by the way, week 1, Xavier Worthy had a rushing touchdown. It wasn't
right. But if you think about it, it's when you have it right out of the box, it's hard to rearrange it value wise. But if you had a kid that, right, let's say Matthew Golden goes out and for 5-6 weeks he's just pretty meh as far as production.
3 for 38.
People are going to forget about him. Yeah. And they have short-term memory, right? They're going to forget about him pretty quick. But all of a sudden, he could have one game where he has a 70-yard touchdown.
And that's it.
And then all of a sudden, he has maybe 1 or 2 other catches sprinkled in there. Boom, that value goes to – it skyrockets. It literally goes crazy. You're talking Keep Trade Cut. That the amount of times people are clicking, keep. the value goes nuts. So with him, I'm a little more of the frame of mind that those type of players are like they're joker cards to me, Alan. I kind of like to have some of those sprinkled into my teams, and I'm waiting for that value pop.
Joker cards. I always throw those out when I open up a deck of cards.
That's what I used to do, and then I realized someone told me after I had like a whole trash can of them that you could use those. This is how they work.
How do they work? What do they do?
The way I like to use them is I like to laugh later, and you can laugh now, right? But I basically use them as someone is going to get really excited and in their moment, right? You get very much prisoner of the moment, and you see Matthew Golden, somebody have this ridiculous game on. You have to have this player. There's a lot of value to be had in a trade at time-wise that you can only capture maybe for a week or two, but he has the traits and the upside to deliver actual like tradability in spike week. Boom, right then, which most people don't have that actually.
I meant literal joker cards in the deck of cards.
As far as I know, those don't actually mean anything to you.
Well, they're replacement cards. Like if you lose the 6 of diamonds, you could just use that as the 6 of diamonds instead of having to buy a new pack of cards.
You could. The reason I struggle with that, because can I just put a piece of paper in there? Like that's kind of what that is, right?
It's not the same material though as a playing card, and you would know which card it was.
I guess people are. Can we use our imaginations a little bit? I mean, come on.
Do you play cards anymore? I still like messing around with cards and stuff like that. I don't play like poker or anything like that, but
I don't play like I used to. Man,
it's a lost art card.
You get older and you're just like, man, I wish I do love playing cards. I just don't play as often or frequently.
I'm a little bit older than you. They used to give them out on airplanes, right? With like the logo, like the American Airlines on the back, and people used to play on airplanes to play cards. They don't do that anymore.
I was young when that was going on. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no, it was like a late 80s.
It was. There's a lot of things that has changed over the years, but those are pretty cool. The card games, I still like them, and if you gave me I got an hour or two, I'd love to play some cards.
Well, everything's digitalized. Everything's digital now. People play on their iPad. Last guy I want to ask you about here is Tet, right? I mean, well, you know what? Let's put Tet and let's tie this to Travis Hunter, right? Because nobody wants to count Travis Hunter. Like I'm operating with Hunter as if he is a wide receiver. In fact, I saw a note in our RotoWire Slack today, our Dynasty ranker, Ryan Poole, he couldn't even rank Hunter because our software, RotoWire, internal software, has Hunter as a cornerback. And I think that that's a mistake because guy's going to play receiver. Like he's going to be, you have to rank him in Dynasty, whether you take him at pick 4 or 14, someone's going to take him.
Yeah. I mean, well, at the moment, at least, we talked Matthew Golden. Truly, there's a cheat code around this Travis Hunter thing where, to your point, he's the real joker card in drafts right now. If you have a later pick and you can, here's the truth: if he goes pick 4, right? One of the things in Dynasty and just fantasy football and in life, people are confused and they're troubled and they fear what they don't understand. Right? The thing about Travis Hunter, you can throw everything that you think about this player. He's not going to play both sides. Throw it out the window. We've never actually seen a kid this talented, this highly regarded, that can play both sides of the ball and is going to be drafted extremely early by an NFL team. The way in which they use him, if you think you can figure that out, good luck. There's no history that we have to use. What I can tell you is he's extremely talented, and a team that has high draft capital on this player is likely to get him on the field as much as humanly possible. Right. And to that point, what does he have that a lot of people in this class don't have? Upside. He's extreme upside, because if they do use him on the offensive side of the ball, I'm going to want him over almost every skill player in this draft, aside from maybe Genty and Hampton.
If I don't get Hunter in my drafts, and let's say he's playing mostly defensive back, returning kicks, that kind of stuff in weeks 1 through 5, I'm still going to buy him. Like I'll give my first next year if I feel like I'm a top 4 or 5 team, because it's not to say that if he doesn't start as a receiver, Adam, that he can't end up there, because sometimes teams need to like see it on the field. And the minute Drake May, we're using the hypothetical, he goes to New England, throws him like a slant and he houses it Odell Beckham style from back in the day, then the genie's out of the bottle, right? Then it's like, all right, we'll just, it's like in baseball with closers, like the guy who gets the save, the close, just keeps getting it until he's not that guy anymore. Sure. And then running backs, like goal line backs, right? Like the minute, Zach Moss was, a couple of years ago before he got hurt in the beginning of last year, actually, he was the goal line back, and then he was just that guy until he got hurt.
Right.
So that could be Hunter as playing offense.
And one of the things I want to make sure you highlighted, and I want to emphasize the point and make sure it's not missed here. See, with Travis Hunter especially, one of the things I'm thinking about why I'm so bullish on drafting him later, especially considering all the other things in this class. Yeah. Alan, he's extremely, extremely likely to be drafted high. I'm talking top 5, 6 pick. There's no chance he's going probably later than 6.
I don't think he's going later than 4.
I agree. I'm just trying to give myself that little extra.
Yeah.
So let's operate from that standpoint, because 4. Let's use 4. Do you know
in the real NFL draft, by the way?
Yes, we're talking the 4th pick in the current NFL draft, and I'll give you. I happen to pay attention to stuff a little bit. I try to anyway. Tennessee Titans, Cleveland Browns, Giants, and the Patriots. One thing which, if you're a fan of these teams, which believe it or not I am, I can tell you even then. These teams are all terrible, and their likely scenarios are going to be they continue to stay terrible, which means what? They're trailing, and they're trying to find ways to get playmakers the ball and try to come back in games. There is Alan, I'm telling you right now, speaking of cards and betting, every time I talk about it, think about it, I'm ready to put more. I want to put more on this bet because it's so unlikely that a team that's this poor and this bad is like, you know what? As we're losing game after game, Travis Hunter, you don't need to play offense. Stop it. You hear yourself?
You're not lying. You're not lying there. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's all those teams need offense, and by all the the professional scouts, they all said that Hunter is further along as a receiver to NFL translation than he is a cornerback. So anyway, I'm going to be taking him pretty early because I don't think we're going to know on draft night, Adam. I think that they're going to announce him they could announce him as both. They're going to say athlete or, cornerback, wide receivers, right? Professional player.
I mean, I know I'm trying to brace people for this. Like, uncertainty, Alan, is one of the biggest things people fear in the game. Of course, you're not going to very likely. It's like, hey, we drafted Travis Hunter, the 4th pick overall. Travis Hunter, and we're going to use him full time as a wide receiver. That's not coming right away, typically. So just brace yourself for the variance, but know that the upside he possesses is unmatched.
You get him at pick 9 or pick 10 in your draft. Remember, that's where Justin Jefferson went in our rookie drafts a bunch of years ago.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
it does
I'm
excited. I'm excited now.
Justin Herbert was like pick 11, right, in those drafts. So
speaking of, Justin Herbert is literally he's the singular person to point to if you were wanting to know why you shouldn't pass on Shedeur early. Nobody thought Justin Herbert was the guy in that class. No one. Right.
I mean, in fact, he was like, you almost felt like obligated to take him.
Can I tell you a true story? This is in a startup, right? This is a startup that year. Alan, when quarterback hoarding was not as popular, we started really pushing the agenda. Okay, the quarterback hoard. Alan, I'm in the 13th round. I'm in the 13th round of a super flex startup. I'd already taken Dwayne Haskins too. I'd taken 6. And he's sitting there. You know what? I'll take Justin Herbert too. And that was one good thing I actually did in the game of Dynasty was draft him there. It was a nice one.
Herbert went 203 in a super flex rookie draft that I was in. I didn't get him. Somebody else got him. But yeah, I mean, that was going on.
Chandler, you got it, buddy. I'll tuck it in right now for you. All right. Tuck your shirts in, everyone. BDG, if you know, you know.
I love that. It's definitely a good shtickler for, again, we won't even explain the inside joke of that. All right. You follow him as I do at ATM4D Chess, at ATM4D Chess. Links in there. You can, engage with Adam. He'll let you know everything that's going on. One of our favorite guests over here. We'll certainly have you back. Adam, I just want to let also everybody know right now, RotoWire is doing a promotion, and this promotion's going away, right? So you may see this a couple weeks after it's that I'm talking about it, and it might not even be there. So as of, you said April 3rd, this is going to last a short while. We're going to let people see RotoWire behind the paywall for free for 2 days. Just go to rotowire.com/try, rotowire.com/try. And that promotion is going away at some point for a percentage off. So if you want to check out all of our premium tools. We have a good prop picker on there. If you're getting into like the NBA and MLB props, it has hit rates on there, everything. You can get behind that paywall for free right now, rotowire.com/try. Adam, appreciate everything you do, man. You know, I'm a fan. I appreciate our friendship. We've had a good time, good laughs.
Listen, my parents were over yesterday, and I was, they're asking what's going on tomorrow. I said, Alan Seslowsky. That's it. That's all I need to say. It's all, they know.
Yes. Yeah. Cool, man. And we'll do this again this summer.
Sounds good, man. I always enjoy you having me on, man. Thanks again.
Yeah, no, you do a good job on here. The fans love you. I always get people ask about you on, in our internal Discord when you have an Adam back on again. And I just said it's locked in. I told them for weeks already. So appreciate it. All right, and everybody, we'll be back next week with another Dynasty Fantasy Football podcast.